What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that's kind of, I don't know, maybe controversial or not. I've just been feeling like the community is a little bit divided, and it's surrounding the new ranked mode. It has everything to do with this and what it brings to the game. So let's go over it. It's just a discussion. I just want to sort of rant a little bit. All right, let's go. So real quick, if you haven't been keeping up, they added a ranked mode to the grand races, but the issue is that ranked mode is all of the grand races. Every single grand race is ranked, unless you freeze your rank, which you can see right here in the picture behind me. You can freeze your rank and not have to worry about it, which seems to be IVT's solution to not being able to split the queues into a ranked queue and a casual queue. Now, honestly, in the best case scenario, when you're adding a ranked mode to your game, you really want to have two separate queues. You don't want players who are in the mindset of playing for rank and being very competitive, being very intense while they're playing in the same races with players who are just sort of driving or just, you know, maybe more casual or don't really care to try super hard. They're trying out new cars or, you know, whatever the reason is they're playing, they just want to race and relax. Or maybe they do want to take it more serious, but they don't want to compete with people who are trying really hard all the time. So when you have those two mentalities and you put them in the same lobby, you're really asking for problems for a number of reasons. The person who's maybe more casual and doesn't really care to race that much is having to deal with all of these people that are super intense and being very rough and not giving any space and ramming in the corners extra so that they can get that little extra position. There's a lot of things that can happen when you start to tell people that the races matter more, and that's really what ranked has brought to the game. It just made me think about all of the things that sort of, I don't know, have transpired in the last week. Basically, a lot of arguments have popped up out of nowhere, and people are saying that we need full no collisions on grand racing because the ramming is out of hand, and other people want a toggle so you can turn no collisions on and off. And some people say that, you know, the ramming is out of hand, I'm not playing anymore because of how crazy it is, and others are complaining about the rewards. And then you have some players who are, you know, just happily racing. Like, there's basically people in all camps. But for me personally, I like what it's brought to the game. I like the intensity of the racing that we had last night on stream, even though it did get a little bit rough. And because of those rough races, I definitely found myself getting more and more frustrated, but that was after like 5 or 6 hours of playing, and that might be the time to take a break anyway. But I will say this, I think that the people that are going into the race with a freeze rank, or, you know, potentially just don't even care about ranked at all and are just wanting to grand race, those people definitely are having a worse experience, because everyone else who's actually trying is actually trying. They're not giving space. Like I said, they're ramming in corners, they're rear-ending people out of gutters, they're doing all of the things that are like the most annoying part of racing in the grand races. The beginning of races is just insane. Now, we knew it was insane, but this has just brought it to a whole nother level, and it makes me feel like all of those players who don't really care too much about rank, or who are just freezing their rank when they get to silver, it makes me feel like those players are gonna end up leaving. The problem is you can't build something like ranked and then try your best to sort of mold it around the casual audience to try to get them involved in it. So I feel like this has really divided the community once again, and I feel like there's some sort of solution that we can come to. Now, I'm open to hearing any solutions that you guys have, what you feel like is the best thing going forward for this. But the bottom line is, without splitting the queue, we're probably always going to have problems like this. The best thing we can do, if we're not going to split the queue, I definitely think a no collisions toggle for the players to decide whether they want to be no collisions or not should be the thing. And to be honest with you, I don't know exactly how you can implement this, but one idea I had was if you freeze your rank first, then you can enable the no collisions toggle. Now, that solution is specifically tailored toward allowing the casual audience to just play and not have to worry about having all of these collisions and being crazy. It also protects the idea of grand racing when it comes to the competition. Like, if IVT is concerned with destroying the competitive nature of the races by giving no collisions to everybody, and it's sort of becoming a time trial and not necessarily a race where, you know, trading paint happens and bumps happen, and it becomes a little bit less challenging, particularly for those that have really good solo pace, I feel like this solution would work. Now, I'm not opposed to having a completely open no collisions toggle, but I do kind of like the idea of tying it to the freeze rank button. If the casual player, the person who's not really interested in competing, who's freezing their rank anyway, if those people have no collisions, then that removes a portion of the field for the sweats and for the competitive players. And now you're not bumping into everyone, you're just bumping into some. The negatives to it is that you don't really know who's going to be ghosted and not. Yes, you can see them when you get close. Oftentimes you're going to have to be making your move before you see that, right? You really need to be able to know if they're ghosted before you get into a turn, before you set up the line for your turn, like where you're going to pass them or not pass them, or you have to break early because you know you're going to collide with them, that sort of thing. I feel like there's going to be moments where, because you don't know if a person is ghosted or not, you're going to be making decisions on a split-second basis, and you're going to make the wrong decisions sometimes, which will lead to frustration. We actually have an example of this in the game now, and the example is the replayers that are driving around the map in free roam. These are like AI racers that are ghosted, that you don't hit when you drive by them. They're completely ghosted, but yet there's also traffic that you can hit in free roam. So like, if you don't turn the replayers off, then you're kind of guessing in the traffic in the moment which traffic is ghosted and which traffic is not. And I think by having a toggle in the grand races where the speeds are much higher and the stakes are much higher, especially with ranked, having to guess in a split second is going to be frustrating for people. So I think there's positives and negatives to this type of an idea, but we have to do something. It feels like the races are extremely rough. It feels like the casual audience is going to disappear on this. Now, obviously time will tell. I'm not like a mind reader. I can't tell the future or anything like that, but it feels to me like the casual audience is going to drop off when it comes to grand racing. They're just gonna not do it anymore because it's not that interesting for them to just get, you know, slammed around in every corner and, you know, all of these very intense, super sweaty races. They just don't really care for that. Even though they can freeze the rank, doesn't stop the experience. Like, yeah, you're not going to lose any rank points, but it's not going to stop your experience from being affected by those who are in the mentality of actually racing hard. So again, the perfect solution is to split the queues. Now, I do want to explore splitting the queues a little bit before I end this video, because Simji and I talked about this a little bit and he had a pretty good idea and I wanted to bring it up. Now, we don't really know why they decided not to split the queues. It could be a technical limitation, or it could be a player-based limitation, like not enough players to split the queues, people will be waiting a long time for races, things like that. If it's the players, like if we don't have enough players to split the queues, I think there's a solution. Right now in Motorfest, there's a bunch of different server queues. There's a bunch of different regions that you can queue into when you go into a grand race. I think there's like 12 or 14 of them, something like that. Anyways, for ranked specifically, you don't touch at all the matchmaking or the queuing for the regular casual mode. You split the ranked off and then you queue into a ranked mode. In that ranked mode, you have a lower requirement to start the race. That's number one. I would drop that requirement down to 7 people instead of 14. And then I would cap that number at 14 instead of 28. So half the number of players, so you can fill lobbies a little bit easier. Half of those players in the regular lobbies are not even trying anyways. So getting the casual audience and keeping them in the regular grand races and having the ranked, sort of more competitive focused players in the ranked mode that has a lower player base. Number one, it splits the field up a little bit at the beginning of the race. It's going to be a more competitive environment because people are not crashing into each other on the first turn. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is it allows you to fill lobbies quicker because it's half the number of required players to race the race. And the third thing you should do is stop with the regions. Get everybody into one queue. What about desync? What about, you know, netcode? What about all of the lag from like Australia to the US or wherever the server is based? If you have no collisions, then that type of stuff kind of goes away. So in ranked, it should be no collisions. In casual, it should be the regular modifiers on the regular schedule. In ranked, it should be 14 players, not 28, and it should only require 7 to start the race. Again, no collisions, 1 queue for the entire world. We have enough players playing this competitively to fill that queue and to always have racing no matter what time of day. Now, obviously, I don't know the stats. I'm not behind the scenes. IVT, maybe you can come out and tell us. But I'm telling you, that experience feels like a much better ranked experience for the players playing ranked. It removes that intensity, or what players are right now calling toxicity. It's just everyone being intense. It removes that from the casual, the casual queue. It puts us in our own place. It splits the queue. That, in my opinion, is the ideal situation for this. I really don't think we need to have everyone in one queue. I think it really makes a lot of issues for the entire community. And it's sort of pitting us against each other once again between the competitive and the non-competitive player. And I just don't really like that. I'd rather have everyone sort of happy with the game. if you're going to build a ranked system, which is obviously for a competitively minded person, then go all in. Go all in, 100% on that. Ignore the noise from the casual, and then build a casual feature on the next update. That's kind of my suggestion. Now, I don't know if IVT is going to listen to this. I hope they do. I hope they at least take it in and discuss it. But I really think splitting the queue is a better solution than sort of this halfway solution with like a no collisions toggle, or potentially removing collisions from the grain races completely, which I don't think they're gonna do, or just leaving it the same. Like, I feel like leaving it alone is not really a good option either. So anyways, I would love to hear you guys' feedback on this. Please tell me in the comments your experience with grain races in ranked so far, if you've been able to play a lot. If you don't play this game like competitively, please let me know that in the comments so that we can kind of understand where the feedback is coming from. And if you're a competitive person, give me your feedback on that as well. I would love to hear your ideas on how to unify the community as opposed to, you know, breaking it apart more. And I realized that my suggestion was to split us up, but I think that by doing that, you're going to make both bases happy, and thus we won't be fighting each other. So we have the competitive players over here, the casual over here. I know this was a rant. I literally did this off the top of my head. I don't even have any notes written down, so I could have gotten some things wrong, and I apologize for talking too much. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.